Welcome back to the Rusty Pilot Deal Desk. It's Q4 of 2025, and we hadn't updated the Cessna 172 market in a minute. So we're going to run out. We're going to look at what the market looks like on Trade-A-Plane at this point. And there's roughly 200 listings out there, and I usually concentrate on the listings between 100 and 200,000. That's typically the ones that most people can go buy. Not very many people are going to go buy a $450,000 172, but the market trend, average asking price, is about 140. And obviously, with the economy, the people are getting a little more real on the pricing, and it seems to be stabilizing. But I ran out and looked at all the $100,000 to $200,000 planes out there on the market and pulled these three. It's probably the best deals out there at the moment. Ultimately, I'm just going to look at two of them, the highest priced one there and the lowest priced one there. But we always try to find the best bang for your buck. What's the hull value? What's the value of the engine that's left on the plane? In other words, if it's a $60,000 engine and it's got 2,000 hours of time on it and it's got 500 remaining, then you got roughly $15,000 worth of engine left. And then I do my best to price in the avionics that are there. And then lastly, we'll take the most expensive one and talk about the cost to improve the least expensive one I picked to compare it to get it there, where you can sort of see dollars it would take and time it would take to get a lesser plane up to the more expensive plane. This helps you sort through, do I need to buy a plane that's fully done, or is it okay to buy a fixer-upper? So firstly, let's look at the most expensive one there on the list. 5,000 hours of total time's not bad. I like a plane that's actually moving. If you got a 50-year-old airplane that's got 1,500 hours on it, it's not been moving enough. It's probably been set on the ramp for years, and it'll have some issues. You really need to look through those log books. But this is a zero time on the prop, and then 929 hours since major overhaul. So there's about 900 hours. It's a midlife engine. That's pretty good. If you're buying this to fly yourself, you're going to fly past that. Just, pull the throttle back and don't run the thing as hard. Got sort of an average set of avionics, a 430 WAS, better than a steam gauges, but it's definitely not a Garmin 650. Does have an autopilot. If you're looking in the 172 market, a lot of times I don't even worry about having an autopilot, because typically these are instructors, or your mission on a 172 is a lot of times is to beat around the pattern. It's not to fly huge 1,000-mile journeys across country. So that autopilot's very adequate. It's got new paint and new interior. That would take time and money if it didn't, but that's always a plus. The factory engine was good. It's got a working autopilot like we talked about. Complete logbooks to recent. Big deal. If you're new here, logbooks but really influence what a plane's actually worth if they're missing. But hangared in California. What's not there? This is a 160 horsepower engine. The other one we're going to look at is 180, and we'll kind of get into that. The 160 is fine, but the 180 is going to give you a little more climb on a hot day. Density altitude's not going to affect you, and it's going to be a little closer to 182 speeds, but none of those planes are real fast. I mean, these are all 100 to 120 knot airplanes we're looking at. I marked it as high time on hours, but 5,500 hours is really not high on what is essentially a trainer airplane. So, what have you got right here? You got 55K or so in that engine. that would take you 8 to 10 weeks if you bought a 160 horsepower plane and wanted to upgrade that. You're probably not going to, but it's just there for a reference. And most people would like to put a G5 and probably a 375 in. I've got both of those in the VTEL I fly. Great devices. It's not a whole lot of screen, but you'd be looking at $20,000 in a month. I don't think you'd have to do it in this, but it's good to know. Useful load, STC, 5K. It was there. We threw it in. It's not anything I would worry about on buying. Now, if you want to follow along, the Rusty Pilot Deal Desk is over on Skool, and it is the website's in the description. I look at the airplane market weekly. I look at 172, then I look at Bonanza, then I look at the Cirrus SR-22s on a rotating basis. And I've been in 6 airplane deals, and I know that I wish something like that existed where I could bounce off of people about the deals. And then I offer this as a service too, where I'll help you look. But bounce over there, good community, especially if you're an older guy like me and you like looking at airplanes and trying to figure out which one's a good deal and which one isn't, and weighing in the cost to redo things versus just buying one that's already done. Talk a lot about that. So the other one we looked at here was $150,000. It's got less hours on it. It is a little bit older airplane, but they put a 180 horsepower engine in it. It's only got about 600 hours left on the engine. But again, if you're not in a flight school, you can keep running that thing as long as you aren't just beating it to death. It'll probably last you a while. Prop's got about 450 hours on it. That's neither a plus nor a minus. There's plenty of time left. The avionics stack is about the same as other plane. You got an older Century 2 autopilot. That's the same one that killed TM Flight Girl, I'm pretty sure. So you need to learn how to use it. It's not as intuitive as the Garmin 500 or 700 series. Family owned for 18 years. That's a big deal. Lodi, California. That's where my plane's at right now, going through an annual. If anybody really wants to look at this thing, I'll be back out there in 3 or 4 weeks. Now, the full IFR stack with ADS-B in it already. If you don't know, and most of you will, but let's just say you're a Rusty Pilot coming back, because my YouTube channel is obviously the Rusty Pilot. That's a big deal. You don't want to have to shut down to put all that in there. It'd probably shut you down for a month to add one of those tail beacons and get a non-WAS plane together. It's already done for you. Low time airframe, yeah, that's good. If it's been flying, if it's set for any period of time, which will show up in the logs, you just got to look at it. Long-term relationship, they probably have treated this thing well, and it's probably set in that hangar right behind it for the, 20-ish years those guys owned it. The engine was done in 1991. So while the hours may not be up on it, there may be something that says every 30 years or every 20 years it has to be overhauled. That's something we could look at. But again, if you're just buying this thing to fly on your own and the compressions are good, you can keep flying as long as you're not putting it in a flight school. The paint in the interior from the pictures looked fine. I mean, I wouldn't put any more money in that thing than that. And, it's a standard 2,300 pounds. The real truth of a 4-seater GA airplane is just 1 or 2 people's going to fly in it. It doesn't matter. That useful load will not matter with you and your wife and some bags in there. I mean, unless she's toting the whole kitchen sink, it's not going to overweight. So which one's a real deal? And this is where, I've got sort of a way I look at them, which is, what's the hull value? What's the value of the avionics? What's the differences here? And on this one, because it didn't say the repaint and interior, you'd spend about $15,000 on that, and you'd probably be 5 or 6 weeks. The avionics stack being almost the same, it's a push. So, if you were to get it painted, you'd be 5 or 6 weeks in getting it painted. That's really a who cares. But let's put the twist on it. Let's say you bought the more expensive plane and you wanted to put the 180 horsepower engine in it. You'd be probably $55K in 10 weeks. That swings which one of these planes is actually the better deal with the way it's listed, because the real deal is the 1973 with the 180 horsepower. You'd be in the 1977 plane for nearly $235,000 to go stick that stronger engine there. Now, you would have a zero-time engine. Let me get that out there. But there's about a $70,000 delta. That's the kind of stuff I can help you with, and that I needed help with early on when I was looking to really figure out which one was better. In this case, the one for less money is actually a better deal. So, if you like looking at this kind of stuff, hop on out to my Skool community. The link is in the description, and I appreciate you being here on the Rusty Pilot again.